The Monday, June 16th meeting of the West Bridgewater Water Commission to order. First order of business is to review and approve the open session minutes of June 2nd.
Make a motion to accept the June 2nd minutes.
Like to try that again?
Open meeting minutes, June 2nd.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll try not to take the signed ones home with me this time. Okay, move on to the executive session minutes.
I'll make a motion for the executive session minutes for June 2nd as well.
Well, you can, actually, you can't second it because you weren't there. So I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. You done with these?
No.
Oh.
Guilty.
Cool. Right. Warrants are being signed as we speak. Do we have any abatements?
We do not.
Okay. Jim Hoyt is not gonna be here tonight, so we'll move to Wayne into old business. Actually, I'll do first. The appeal of the ZBA decision is nothing to report since we got our information back.
Right.
So we're all, right now, that's just staying in place. Now, stations 1, 2, and 4.
Well, we're waiting at this point.
Did we get a date for the planning board?
Yeah, it's July, I want to say like the 7th there. It's July 17th, or it's like mid-July.
Mid-July.
Calendar. No.
What nights do they usually meet?
Wednesday.
Maybe the 16th? 17th's a Thursday.
John, can I sign these?
Yep. This will be a quick meeting tonight.
Yeah.
Planning board meets at 6:30 on July 16th.
16th? They don't give a time for when we're gonna be,
There's
would be
no
on
agenda
though.
up. They
There's no
still have,
agenda
they have
yet.
48 hours to post that.
Yeah. They
But
got,
that's-
we're
yeah.
months plus out, so,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I did. And that's all we're waiting for now, right? James has all the
Yeah,
other
they're
stuff's
going
in through
before
the state.
Conservation Commission, but they've already been talking with Tim all along.
Yeah, he was involved with walkthroughs the
Yeah.
whole time, so that, there shouldn't be any
Right,
surprises
he
there.
made a request for some certain things, some changes, and they did it right away.
Yeah. So we should be good on that. And right now, we're still planning on bidding as,
Yep.
all right. Anything for Wayne on that? Nope. Update on Manley Street.
So Manly, they paved today, so that they fixed what they ripped apart.
Yeah.
They plan on taking the station July 7th. At that time, we should have all the supplies in. They feel they can get it done in like 2 weeks. I'm not sure about that one, but we'll just make do.
Well, I say, that's the only, that's, in July, it's like
Right,
about the worst time, but,
yep.
hey, they say they can, just make sure they stay on top of them, and
Yeah,
we don't have our restrictions I mean, is there something there that if they needed to, we could increase their hours they work during the
Whatever
day?
they, if they ask for something, I'm gonna give it to them,
Okay.
because I'm not gonna stand in their way.
Because I don't remember what was in the contract, if there was a,
Yeah, no, whatever they've asked for so far, we've found a way to get them in or out of whatever they needed.
okay. Yeah, because once they say you don't want to be the one holding it up.
Right.
Have we heard anything more on the sand valves?
No, they were supposed to be, there was some backup on it, but they're all supposed to be in when they get to that July 7th date. They're supposed to have everything.
We haven't gotten anything back, like from Tater and Howard?
No,
About
no.
how fast they're working or anything like that?
Right.
Okay, might be worth just asking James if he could give us a quick update. Or what's his name there?
Victor?
Victor.
Victor Tamakevich.
Yeah, because it'd be him or somebody else working with him that's been watching them. Right?
Well, right now, I think they're planning 3 days a tank. That's what they came down to.
But they were already starting to work and they were supposed to, but they came down to that after watching it.
Right.
You done?
Yep,
Okay.
and they've already pulled all those out, because they can't go any further until they take the station.
Okay.
And then they've got a whole pile of, like, they have to get the meteor out of the tank, they've gotta cut through the
Yep.
screens to get at it, and like, there's a whole pile of things that are gonna happen.
Yep.
You're gonna have mire down on the wells, like,
We might as well, if we can't run them through the station, we might as well
Right.
have the wells worked on
Yeah.
while that's down. Bring everything back online fresh.
the tanks are in and installed. And with the valving manifold, so that's all ready too.
They haven't loaded meteor in the tanks yet.
No,
Let's see if I can't stop by there. Wander through the building.
I did a couple of weeks ago, had to do a gas inspection for an underground gas line.
yeah, they fed the building.
Yeah.
Everything was all right?
It's a lot involved. Should be for $5 million, $4 million.
Yeah, then it's just making it work and keeping it
know.
working.
Inside there, I mean, the valve tree looks like something complex, but it's basically so that we can backwash the new meteor when it comes and backwash it out instead of putting it to the system. So once it's up and running, all of those valves in there, they just stay in place. There'll be 2 automated valves to get around the building when it's in backwash.
And that's supposed to help us with the problem we had on the
Right. Yep.
pilot test one. We'll see. Anything else?
No, that's it for there.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the superintendent's job description. I'm going to apologize because I got sidetracked with a bunch of stuff with my mother this week.
Yeah.
And I did not get to really look at what that is. We do have that joint meeting with the selectmen coming up July 23rd. Make sure I put it on the right day. Well, wrong month, help, yep. And that's, one of the things they want to talk about, I don't have any details yet, but I'll talk to David about it and figure out
Yep.
where they're going with it. Again, we want to try to make sure we have something that's actually going to get decent answers to however we go around trying to get somebody in.
Right.
Because,
Maybe they want to take over some of our debt. Let the taxpayer pay it instead of the water ratepayer.
we're already going to, the other issue they want to look at is the use of the ARPA, was it the ARPA fund? No, one of the other funds. The PFAS lawsuit funds.
Yeah, well, when the MBTE one came, the town tried to grab, and they did grab something out of it.
That was like $1 million though, that was a lot of money
Yeah,
for
I
that.
forget how much they took off the top.
No, I mean, we'll see what it is, because actually, when it first came out with the ARPA money, that got put aside for us instead of split across the town
Right.
too, so.
Well, didn't we get most of that, like the 950,000? The ARPA money, or was that
It was
ARPA money?
1.3. And we're down, we've spent, I think we're over, right around $1 million right now. I'm tracking it.
Yeah, because we gotta spend that out before.
Right. that's free money, that's money you wanna spend before.
Free money?
Yeah,
Free money's good.
Oh, yeah.
well, the SRF won't pay for engineering, so there's a chunk of it is set aside to pay for Tavern Howard's engineering.
Yep.
I think it's like 500 and something thousand.
For engineering?
Yeah,
Shit.
Well, that's,
you went to the
That-
wrong school.
yeah, that's including all the guys that are going, they have to sit and watch the contractor work, because the SRF requires you to have somebody
They
there
required,
watching. all the
500
time.
grand?
Mark,
yeah.
It adds
camera.
up quick. It adds
I
up
never
quick.
heard that word
That's why I printed like you, in
before.
this,
$500,000.
Yep,
yeah, I believe that's the number.
Oh, it's a percentage of the job.
Yeah, basically, that's how they.
300?
and they bill it out hourly as it goes through for the people that are, because
They make
SRF
the
makes them
numbers
bill
work
that way.
to their advantage.
Right.
No, honestly, it's like with the schools, the state is paying a decent amount of money. They want to have control of making sure the things are being done that are supposed to be done in the spec. That's why the school things have a freaking architect and a project manager that you pay for both. And that's why we have to have similar for this. But I'm doing the OPM stuff for this, so it won't cost us anything.
Thank you, Art.
I'm just a good guy.
You gonna do it for the school too, when we spend
No.
200 million?
Oh, no, we're spending that money already. I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb. All right, well, we'll have to get back onto that. So how about the cross-connection program? Any update?
That class is coming up in July.
And you got the okay from Phil for Deb
Yes.
to go through it? Okay.
We ran out of items to talk about.
Nope, we still have
No, well, I gave it since.
a couple of handouts here, and we don't have to,
Well,
we don't have
when
to
they
vote on it.
Start trying to take money, that's all well and good, but that's why in the 5-10 year plan, you see some of the dollars that you're gonna have to spend. You know,
Yep.
You've got $1 million metering program coming up. Some of the meters are beginning to die already, so as we're changing, I'm gonna have them start giving them to me so I can see what's going on. The old, somebody in the past didn't record the install date, so there's a couple of years where we have blanks. So we don't
you don't
know
know
when
how long.
meters went out there.
Can't we change the batteries on these?
No, they're
Meters
sealed
reusable?
into it. They don't want you to reuse them.
Planned obsolescence. They
Yes,
don't want, they want you to
planned
fix them or do something. They
Let's put
want
another
you.
meter then.
Well, that's what's gonna happen, is to change out the meter. But we had a cluster of them die in the same area, but that could be a cluster of where new meters went in, so when they start coming in, I'll start looking at them to see what's going on.
Weren't those lifetime batteries?
No, they're warranted for 15 years, and then they're
Batteries.
supposed to last 20. But somewhere between 2010 and 2012, they started installing them. They really didn't push them hard, but that's about when they changed over and started installing those.
So they're right at the,
Yeah, so some of them are beginning. Like, the bulk of the program came once I got in and I realized 50% of my meters weren't calling in, and that's when
Great.
all hell broke loose, because I had to start forcing my way into houses. People saw the thing that said their meter wasn't working, and then they wouldn't let us in. Because meter's not working, well, I'm getting free water. Well, you're not getting free water, it's a two-part system. The mechanical dial stayed working in the basement. So when we got in, that's when everybody got whacked with catch-up bills.
yep.
How'd that go over?
You
Well,
don't
if you can
remember?
remember back, I've been yelled at from the day I sat in this chair, so.
God.
For doing your job right, too.
Right.
That's,
They just
that's the
didn't-
killer for it.
They didn't understand what had happened, and somebody pretty much hid it kind of well, so there was ways to manipulate the system in the past.
No more system manipulation.
No. As it is, we have a hard time because you've got like 3 pieces of software that have to talk to each other, and if somebody doesn't update, then they don't let anybody know they've updated their end, and then suddenly the things aren't talking again. So you have to, like, it's a constant watch to stay on top of it.
So all those people that their meter died, their battery meter died, and then they sell the house and they realize that they use an extra million gallons of cubic feet of
Well,
water,
that's
then they
why-
get hit with another $1,000 bill or
Yeah.
something.
It's set up now when we do, when we do a final read before the house sells, and we hold the final read right up until a few days before the closing, because we don't want somebody to do that to somebody.
They read they read the meters once a month anyway, and like, I always run a report. The first report I run is to see if there's any unchanged readings or any readings that have, like, any meters that haven't called in, so.
We read them constantly to make sure that they're working.
So there's nobody out there that's gonna say someday that,
No,
okay.
no, because we're watching. If we see a zero read, then we go after it. It's not sitting there.
And the
Okay.
meter's always working, it's
Yeah.
just not calling.
It's not communicating to the sender, the
But if
transponder.
someone's paying, you know, well, like I said, I run it every month anyway, but like, say someone had no usage, like they were used to getting a $300 bill, and then all of a sudden they just get a $90 bill
Yeah.
for like, and then we finally get in to change it, that's when, and you'll
It's a
see
big
it right-
catch-up.
Yeah,
Right.
No, but that way,
we
it
got
does
rid of a lot of
nothing,
those when we replaced the meters, and there's not too many of those.
no, and if you're checking it every month, nothing can get all that far along that way, but,
And some people don't, you know, they wait, like if they can't afford to pay the bill and they're selling their house, like,
Yeah.
bills go unpaid for long periods of time, and then they get late.
Well, then they get the
Yeah.
demand notice and then the
Yes, there's a,
assessment of that connected to it, so.
yes, there's a block of people that do that. They let it go to their mortgage.
Every year, same, yeah, well, a
Like,
lot of money.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Over
200
100,000.
plus on top of your bill. It's almost like getting a fifth bill.
Well, then it goes into tax title, right?
Yep.
So then you get 14% or 12% on top of that.
Well,
Do we
what
keep that
happens-
money, or does that go to the general fund?
I have no idea what it is.
As far as I
I don't
know,
think- I mean,
it
the
should be-
water department is paid first. when
Because
the
we're an
tax bill
enterprise.
comes in.
yeah, but we get paid out of, we just get paid hours, we don't get
Right.
paid, whatever, the extras would go into the town, not to us, once it goes to tax.
Right.
Which is every December is when we lien, so then January 1st is when we get paid. Usually, like, if you still have a mortgage, if you do that and it goes to tax and you don't have a mortgage, that'll catch up to you when you go to sell your house.
So I could just never pay my water bill until I sell my house.
No, then you get hit with
Yeah.
12% tax.
$50 demand charge every quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah, the demand charges add up pretty good, too.
Yeah.
You figure about $1 million to do the,
yeah.
over 5 years.
You spread it out over 5 years, that's 200,000, but it's like this money that's kind of the lawsuit money, when it hits the books, the best thing is to start funding an article for it.
Yeah, pick and choose what we have. Do you remember what the number was on the lawsuit one? Do we have a firm number yet, or is it just?
No, I'm not sure how that's like, I didn't realize there were more payments. When I saw the first payment come, I thought that was the end of it.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was more. Nobody said anything anywhere.
Well, maybe by that joint meeting, we'll have an idea of what the
Right.
all the final numbers are, and we can kind of pick and choose.
Yeah,
little
because you
bit of
still
stuff,
have
yeah.
like the fourth filter at Manly
Yep,
won't be, and that has a cost associated with it. You've got the altitude valve thing at the tanks.
What is that,
Which-
the altitude valve? How does that?
So when they built the Walnut Street tank, they matched elevation to elevation,
Okay.
so the tanks have the same elevation for fill heights. The problem is they didn't engineer the hydraulics of the system, and we can't push the water up to it.
not enough
So-
pipe.
So the North Elm Street tanks fill first, and then they shut the system down, because there's no, an altitude valve works off the pressure in the tank, so it doesn't have any electricity to it, it senses the pressure, and it's a valve that's slammed shut, and now the SCADA system would look at the Walnut Street tank for its fill
And it's not
signal,
full.
and it's not full, it's down. So we have the water ages out in that tank, so right now we run longer. When we shut the pumps down at a certain height, and we turn them back on at a certain height. So we opened up that height so that we could try to get the Walnut Street tank to cycle the water, because we were failing the bacteria test on a regular basis. We had to take it offline for a few years. Then we brought it back and we started the longer cycle and the start-stops of the pumps to try to force the water not to age out.
What size is the main going down Manley Street to the Manley Street tank?
So it's
Or
12
Walnut
inches
Street?
going down to it, but it chokes, it bottlenecks on the way, because it'll bottleneck as it goes up West Street. It comes up Crescent,
Yeah. Is that 16
and
at
it's
Crescent Street?
16,
Yeah.
right, but after that, that's when it changes over, and you bottleneck down to like an 8. But in the old days, when we did water main replacements here, the real way you do it is you see the things show up on people's lawns, and you see all the things running out to their houses. Here, they always just ran another one beside an old one, and then they made a 90 into it. So you have, you know,
Restriction.
a lot of restrictions in the system. Almost every turn in this system is a 90-degree turn.
Well, and when they designed that tank on Walnut Street, they should have looked at the piping and
Right, he
fixed
should
the
have
piping
known.
then, because there's
Yes.
no way with the amount of water that goes from Norman and Sierra, it's going right by North Elm Street.
Right.
So it's gonna fill North Elm Street first.
Which makes sense.
No matter what.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
coming from, well, it's that 8 inch, is it that in back of Pine Hill that goes to, that feeds the
Right,
18?
across country,
This-
yeah.
Yeah, cross country.
Yeah, so once that goes, it's like, with the altitude valve, fine, that fills, it shuts off, you just keep pumping until
But that's
Walnut
not how our
fills.
water goes out into the system. I know by the complaints that we get, that when our water hits the system from here, it's going up East Street and then it's coming down East Center.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure
How
what
the
else.
hell do you know
but-
that?
Because I can tell how the complaints, like, I'm gonna show you the complaints.
So the water comes out of Manley, I mean, out of Matfield, hangs a left onto
Right.
East Street, it gets onto East Center Street.
Right, because it has less resistance.
Yeah.
If you look at it, like when you go up the cemetery, you're going up a hill.
Yeah,
You're going down a hill on the other side, obviously, but then you're going up a hill on Mayolas again to fill the tank. So there's a lot of restriction there pushing back against it. So it goes out this way because it has less resistance.
so how much, what's the capacity when the filled out, when the North Elm Street shuts off,
Yep.
so we're at, whatever we are, 20 feet from the top, where is it in terms of the height for water at
So I want
Walnut
to say it's
Street?
about 8 to 10 feet down from the top. When you get to summertime, if you drive by, you'll see it sweating.
Yeah.
You'll see it. Did it come on? Yeah. So I knew because when we redid Station 1, I had no idea what the chemical levels were until we started running it. So if you notice in this one, this is a manganese slide, and 0.3 is the action level. And you can see how far above that we are with Station 1, so that's why we don't run it anymore. We only run it for testing, and it's run to waste. So when we turned that station on, all of them people lit the phones up. And because it was so high in iron, they were calling in and complaining about the color, but we couldn't see it. When you put it in a glass beaker, you couldn't see it. You had to see it. So I finally started probing the people when they were calling in. They said, well, I filled my tub, or I filled this, and that's when we took out like a white Dunkin' Donuts cup, and you put it in that, and then we could see the yellow color. Because this
Can
is
you-
the manganese.
Can you throttle all those valves you have by the Matfield Market, can you throttle it down so more of it goes toward
But then you run
Then
into
you're
problems
making
'cause
more
you're creating
restrictions,
more
though.
restrictions.
turbulence?
Right.
All right.
And then, so the other thing that I'm telling you is we're gonna lose Manly, so we've been running Station 2. If you look at the manganese, it's running just under the
Yep.
action level. So we've been running that slower on purpose to cut down on our water complaints. And it kind of worked, but right now we're gonna lose Manly, so we're running Station 2 up higher. So it's not the manganese as much as it is the iron. So 0.3 is the limit for the iron, and you can see Station 2 results.
Yeah.
There's no action level or anything on iron, but you can see it's up there. So we're gonna go through the summer with a lot of dirty water complaints.
Does iron give you more discolored water as opposed to
Yes.
manganese? Or?
Yeah, at least that's what I see, because they'll see the yellow water. When they fill their tubs and stuff, they'll see it against the background.
And as it's running, you'll know as it's changing
Right.
because you'll get a pattern to where the call's coming from.
Yep, and that's how I knew
Oh, wow.
how the water goes, because it comes out of Orchard, like it because that's tapped off of
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah.
And then it comes down, you know, East Street and then East Center Street. I knew by where the calls are coming, and then it heads up, it wants to head up South Main. I don't know why, but it likes to go out that way.
Interesting.
So both of these, I believe, Station 1 and Station 2, pretty much probably draw from the peat bog that sits out
Yep.
there. Where you look at Station 4, the results are always flat. You're pulling out
Because
of the
that's
sand
right out
pit.
of the sand.
So we're filtering it.
Yeah, you do the best that you can when we lose Manley
Right.
Street and just,
So that's why on Fridays, that's what we do quality control. I've got all new people, so I have to relearn them that you, in certain areas, you can only flow some certain hydrant one at a time, because you choke off the system. The graduation was coming up and we were doing Plain Street, and we had a lot of calls from the residents getting excited. 'cause
So
they
for
were-
those that are watching TV, pay attention to what's going on when,
Yeah.
when Manley Street shuts down. Might have discolored water.
Yep,
well, I'm sure, do a little bit of announcements ahead of time
right,
that things will be going, and if you have to, you target flush some areas if you
right.
need
We
to.
just
but-
flush more. It's,
Yeah,
I have a list, so we know where to go.
and we have a few more people now, so we actually have the bodies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything's been working well at stuff down here, so we shouldn't have,
Yeah, so we were testing the level probes in the wells just because we're getting ready to go into the heat of summer. And we pulled the well at the probe at Station 4 and it tripped the thing. So it really tripped it on the hottest day of the year so far.
So it shut down?
Oh yeah,
So no water?
yeah, we had issues getting it back up. I figured out what had gone wrong and we got it back up.
Could just reset the breaker?
Yeah, it didn't work that way.
so don't touch the probe in well
So we didn't
four,
touch any
in well
probes.
4 anymore
Until
in hot
January.
weather. How are the levels in the wells now? They good?
Yeah, they're all holding well. We'll see as we go into summer. Like they draw down close. So Norman Ave is drawing about 6 feet above the pump. Well, it's actually above the well casing. So
Yep.
it's.
That must be good though.
Yeah,
Above
but
the well casing.
it used to run 15.
Feet above the well casing.
Yes, and it's not anymore. So it might clean itself out, but I've seen it go through the season like that, and then suddenly it'll break through, it'll break itself clear, and it'll pull in more water. But at 3 feet above the thing, it'll shut itself down, because it's gonna save itself.
Yep.
So we'll be watching it. The driveway well at Manley Street has a tendency to run down too, so we'll be watching that one. Although we won't be.
I would say you won't have it
Yeah,
for
we won't
July,
have that,
so, yeah, because they're not talking about a heck of a lot of rain. We're getting into a dry
Right. Yeah,
spell
this is the
coming up.
first, actually, this is the first drought advisory where we were out of one. We've been in a drought advisory for like almost 2 years.
Yeah,
Well, it's rained for 12 consecutive weekends.
13, it was 13.
13. Yeah. Correct that, Carrie, on the minutes.
anything else we need to expect when Manley goes down?
No, that's about it.
And like I said, just put notices out ahead of time, be as communicative as you can be.
Try.
And, well, I've been noticing the ones coming out about the flushing and everything, so it's good to have that stuff out. At least they know.
Yeah.
Might not make them any happier.
They've they've almost turned all of the gates in town now this year, so they just have to do the main drag, so they have to get a detail officer to do those. So
Yep.
we try to get everything we can before we start
Hey.
doing that.
Oh, I know a lot of paint on, was it Howard Street?
Howard Street, right by Spring Street.
Yeah,
So they,
what's going on
the
there?
gas company called in an emergency in the middle of the night, so I sent somebody out. They didn't dig that thing for like 3 days or whatever, so they were doing something, and one of those houses, the gas company. is
Oh, because the way it's painted, it almost looks like they're gonna do like an aerial, with all the valves
Yeah.
are numbered
Yeah.
Yeah.
and.
Oh, well, you see the valve number, because they have to enter them into the program. So they write them down, so, because you're looking at the iPad, and you're trying to do a
Okay,
lot
so
of
they're doing
things.
it intentional.
That's why you
It's
see
not like
that-
they're planning to rip that up or
No.
something, and we were gonna
No.
worry about losing our
No,
gate
it's
boxes
just
and
the
stuff.
number and the gates.
So what was the gas leak? What was the gas issue? Do you know what that was all about?
It was one of the houses, it was a high number, like 187 or 170 something. So it was one of those houses on that end, towards South Street.
No permits.
Yeah, we can't let you listen to this stuff anymore. You're gonna have to recuse yourself from certain discussions. All right, let's see.
Oh,
What else? You said, oh, you must have something else.
yeah, this is more of a show and tell. I'll have to sit with Phil on this one. So GIS is a wonderful thing, but you only see pieces, and when you get it down small enough that you see the whole piece, then you can't tell anything. So when they redo
What street is
Sear
that?
Norman, so this is, that's east. This is
Matfield?
Matfield, yeah,
Okay.
that's the corner market.
All right, yeah.
So they're gonna take, there's 3 lines in that road. So they're gonna take 2 of them, one of them's gonna come a finished water line.
Yep.
Nobody can touch that line because of the 4-log compliance. They can't be tapped into it until after it gets down to the intersection. The other one's gonna be coming from Norman Ave, coming back up to the plant, new plant, as a raw water line. So there are 3 people that are on the raw water line that have to come off, and there are 2 people on the finished water line that have to come off. So there's 5 houses we've got to jump out of the thing, and they're all kind of compacted together. So I'll kind of let Phil know what's going to happen. That we're going to be digging up the street.
So 5 houses, so that's that duplex that.
Yeah.
So, is that 2 separate services up? Yeah, it
Yes,
is 2
it
separate
is.
services,
Yep.
yeah.
So you're gonna do that before?
Yeah,
You
but
go.
before they can, because they all have to be off when the thing comes back up, because one will be a raw water line. They've definitely got to come off of it.
Are you gonna run that like way ahead, or are you gonna wait until?
No, we'll probably do it this summer and get them off. I mean, the
Okay.
project's approved and we're going forward with it, so I'll get them off this summer, because, gotta do it.
Yeah.
There's no sense in waiting and being under the gun, because that's when everything else goes wrong.
You talk to Phil about repaving the trenches afterwards? or-
I mean, I have a waiver, so I don't have to infrared, but it's, there'll be 5 houses right there, so we'll do the best work we can, work with them and get them maybe to help us pave it.
You're probably gonna have to go all the way across the street to get to the main
Yeah,
you're
they're
tying
pretty much
into,
in
right?
the middle.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
the line we want is in the middle of the street. So it won't be a fun thing, because you've got to tap it out there and then bring it in.
Yeah.
And there's gas and everything else out there, so it'll be a lot of fun. That's why I would have preferred that they used the cross-country line, but they wanted to get rid of the AC main.
Yeah.
After that, I don't have any more.
Okay.
That was enough.
Well, yeah, but none of it was bad.
Right.
That's a good thing. Do you have it set up? Do we have a? Well, that's just a copy. We don't have a large size plotter that
No.
you can just send that to.
Yeah, no, we don't have
So you
a lot
gotta-
of plotter.
So you gotta do it a little at a time and
Yeah,
tape it
at
off.
one time we had the old inkjet, like the
Yeah.
Seal Packet 6, but the thing's always dried out and,
Yeah, if you're not using them all the time,
right.
it's not worth having. I mean, they have one at Town Hall though.
I think
at
that's
least-
also, like, I think Deborah has done a few things, but once again, it's the ink. I think it's a 650 also, or a 750, so it's the ink cartridges that dry out because they're not getting used.
All right, John, anything else?
No.
You were thinking,
Well, I guess thinking about that gas leak on.
nah, it's not our business. That's your
Oh, it's
business.
my business. No.
Mark, any questions for Wayne? For
Next meeting,
next meeting will be,
Monday, July 7th.
That's the big one, blues man.
I was gonna say, that's a busy day.
That's
Yeah,
the week after, Monday after the long weekend.
yep, that's why they waited, they'd rather do it on a
Oh,
holiday
yeah.
weekend than
No.
they'd be short on manpower, they waited till after.
No, that's not a bad thing. That would have been,
Right,
because they would have gotten, taken it down, and they wouldn't have gotten half the stuff done
Yeah.
over the weekend anyways. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion to adjourn at 5:35.
Will you second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed?
none.
Yay. Unanimous vote by all present.